look at that. Hello, everybody. Hopefully there's some people arriving as we speak. Let me just see where it goes. Yeah, we do have people. Hi, there's
we do have people.
Susan. Hello, Susan. Hopefully, Gremlin. Looking forward to the latest edition of the hopefully Gremlin-free short show. Keith, that was the case. If only it was the case. We're currently waiting. Hi, Andy. We're currently waiting for Domenica to join us. She's around. We've seen her, but
somewhere.
I'm not convinced. That's my current view of Domenica. She's a bit blue, and who knows? But she will be here. I know she will. She has good tech support. I saw her being surrounded by people. I'm going to hide that again. But anyway, the reason we are all here today in our hundreds. Well, actually, there's 32 people already, which is about the record.
Wow. Shut up. My God, it's going up as we speak.
The reason we're doing it is because, like, every now and again, like once a year, me, Lesley, and Elly Griffiths have done an event together to celebrate the launch of all of our books, which happens generally around the same sort of time of year. Oh, hello. Some noise is off. Let's try this.
Alex.
Yay!
Hello. Welcome, Elly Griffiths, Domenica de Rosa.
Hello. I had to call Alex. I had to call my son to clear.
It's so good to have technical support around. As I was just explaining to the many people here, there's hundreds of people here, 35 bucks in no seconds, but it's fantastic. That every year we've done an event together because we all have books around at the same time of year. And of course, this year something's rather got in the way. We generally hold it at Waterstones in Brighton. somehow that's not happening this year. But we decided to do something else, didn't we, Dom?
Yes. So we are celebrating the launch of Lesley's book today.
Thank you, guys. I'm trying to say thank you to each of you.
I love the work for this. Bang!
Bang!
Oh, go on. I wondered what that was.
It didn't
Bang!
work. It didn't work. Technology is my enemy today. I brought a party popper, but it didn't work. Yes, so we were going to, because all our books are out at similar times. So what we're doing is we're celebrating Lesley today, and we're going to do you next week, aren't we, William?
We're going to do me next week. But
that's going to do you.
Because today is the launch of a very special book. Hold on, let me hide that comment so we can see Dom. Death of a Mermaid.
Oh, I don't have a copy here. I thought I bought one. That's terrible. I'll have to, at some point, I'll have to shoot off and get it because I've got it.
Don't worry.
Hi, Emma. Emma's popped up. Laura, hi, Laura, my editor, my wonderful editor. Fantastic. Oh, Domenica, you're a little bit quiet, apparently.
Yes, I saw that from Laura. I don't know if this is any better.
I think people go, it's technology. What can we do?
What can we do? I still haven't opened the party poppers.
No. And there's Jane.
There's Jane. I wonder where in the house she is. That's my wife, Jane, the very lovely Jane.
I'm proof copy.
I leave her desk every time I do one of this.
Proof copy. Well, no, I actually did the real proof copy. So I've got a props assistant here trying to hand me the proof copy that somewhere I've lost.
Fantastic cover.
It's over there somewhere.
Actually, let's start talking about that. That is a fantastic cover, isn't it? I love that cover. Do you remember the first time you saw it, Lesley?
I do. It was sent to me to approve, and it was like, what's to say? I mean, that is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I mean, I've just, Laura might pop in with the name of the designer so that I can say, I can name check, but I'm just so pleased with that cover. It's absolutely brilliant. Yeah, really fantastic.
Yeah, and fantastic book too, isn't it, Dom? I mean, it really is, it's an extraordinary one.
It's just incredible, really. It's a book that is so that's why I think the cover is so good, because it's a very beautiful cover, but it's also really sinister and scary. And
It is, isn't it?
And like a lot of Lesley's books, this one sort of draws you in because you want to know about this group of girls and then women and their lives, and you're kind of drawn into it. And then it's an absolutely terrifying, edge of your seat ride. You know, it really is frightening, compelling, and funny and clever, and all those things you want from a crime novel. It's brilliant, Lesley.
Well, I can't tell you. I'm just going to have to kind of pinch myself because, you know, hearing this, you know, hearing that from you, Elly, that's just, you know, well, you put out a lovely tweet today as well, which I was kind of, wow. And you too. I mean, it's special for me that I'm having this launch with everybody. You're all here. It's fantastic. Crowded room that I can see here. And it's, my God, at the moment, capacity. I mean, capacity is endless, but we've got at least 45 people up here so far, which is just brilliant. And I just need to say, and I'm keeping in my mind, the cover design is by the fabulous Mark Swan. So, Mark, if you're out there, thank you. I have thanked you on Twitter at some point, but thank you again. And I was about to say, I'm just so pleased to be doing this with you guys this week and next week. I mean, we're going to be partying in between this Thursday and next Thursday. We're not putting all of you through that. So thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
Laura says he does all your covers and he's fantastic. Sven asks, where's the gin? There may well be gin at some stage.
And hi, Jenny.
That looks like tea. It might not be. But yeah, so can you go back to the very beginning of this project, Lesley, and just tell us where the germ of the idea came from?
It came from the Fishman. Tim the Fishman of Catch of the Day, and I'm pausing here for another name check because Catch of the Day, if you live in Lewis or anywhere around, Peacehaven, etc., that's your Fishman. And I heard his bugle. There he goes. That's Tim. If you see the number, we'll take a screen grab now and then just ring this number after the show. Anyway, basically, he comes every Wednesday, and I'd already thought, what can I do with that? Certainly, you know, Tim was never going to be any kind of murderer, any kind of inspiration from that point of view, because he's a sweetheart. But I heard his bugle over the downs once when I was walking the dog. And at that time, I was writing The Dog Walker, so I was in a very different place. So the germ of the idea just sat there, and I made notes in my notebook and more notes and more notes. And then I talked to Laura, who's here, and we discussed the fact I wanted to do a standalone, and she was really up for that. And so I thought, well, I want to write it about a fish person, not necessarily a man, and in fact, it's a woman at the end of this. But it's actually about fish, and it's about life and murder. God, you know, it's just meant to be quite scary. But I hope you'll still want to eat fish at the end of it, because I'm now eating far more than I was before.
There's something about fish that makes you go for those puns, isn't it, as well? Like Catch of the Day and, you know, the place.
I'm hooked.
Yeah, hooked, yeah. I even did hooked in my quote, that it hooks you in, you know. Something about it, doesn't it? Yes, she lays the bait for something or other.
Well, I did realise that as I was writing, I was falling prey to a lot of puns, and it was tempting just to use them. And I thought, no, you really have to have a pun alert here, because it will just annoy and it won't scare. So, I mean, the fabulous Cathy Boone-Reel, who Domenica particularly knows, Elly Griffiths knows. Well, I mean, you're Domenica and Elly Griffiths as two different authors here in one person. She's a big blogger in the States, and she wrote a wonderful review, and it ended up with reeling and hooking and all the rest. It didn't occur to me afterwards that her name was Cathy Boone-Reel. Anyway.
Yes, and I was just waving my glass because Cathy gave me this glass.
And now I'm going to, let's have a little quiz. And the question is, what was the name of Elly Griffiths' first novel? And before anybody says on screen, because anybody answer that question, what was the name of Elly Griffiths' first novel?
So is this answering comments?
Does anyone know? Well, wait.
Yeah, someone's out there going to come in.
while people are thinking, Lesley, I really loved the descriptions of New Haven, because if, those of you who don't know, New Haven's near where we all live. So William's in Brighton, I'm in Saltdean, Lesley's in Lewis, and New Haven is the port near us. And it was very funny because we were in Bouchercon 2 years ago, Lesley, and you said, I've set my book in this really desolate place. And I said, that's where I live. But in fact, it's not desolate, but it's just an interesting place. And Lesley, say a bit more about why you set the book there.
Well, New Haven is a Victorian. Well, I'm going to be corrected on this, I hope, by lots of people from New Haven, but a lot of the housing stock there is Victorian, and it's got a grand but faded high street. And it was somewhat strangled by the ring road that takes us straight to France from, anywhere off the A27, and you can bypass New Haven. So if you're, inclined, don't bypass New Haven, go in there. There's some, as I said, there's some fantastic faded and not so faded Victorian buildings. There's that photograph showed you that actually it's becoming, on trend, and there's lots of new blocks and stuff happening. But there are streets that run down to the port that are quite empty still, and the station needs a little bit of a scrub up. New Haven town, that is, or New Haven Harbour specifically. And for a writer, this is just heaven. And I spent a lot of time wandering around New Haven with long-suffering wife Melanie. Actually, she was enjoying herself most of the time. She says not. She's on a different modem because I wanted to keep all the bandwidth for me. And it leads down to a beach, which is fairly desolate. And desolate and bleak, these are the words that I know you get. Look, here we go. Lynn, who is this? Lynn Sendall has come in with Hair of the Dog.
That's my friend Lynn, all the way from California, and she's right, because it was my first unpublished book, Hair of the Dog. And that's what it says on my glass, which is water, Sven. It's not gin, I'm afraid. Sorry.
I think I probably should have said, to be fair, that it's unpublished, because we also had, who do we have? Anne Elizabeth Bowen, and there's a great name, who says the Italian Quarter.
There's a couple of Italian quarters actually there, which is also an accurate answer in its own way.
It is. My first published book was The Italian Quarter, written as Domenica De Rosa.
Yeah. Anyway, going back to New Haven, which I think we could talk about for the whole of the whole of this show, but I think we'll see. And it's just full of atmosphere. It's a gift for a writer. I was going to say that the words bleak and desolate get used about places like New Haven or Tide Mills, and indeed Dungeness. We'll talk about this, but actually those are great. That means I've got to go there straight away if you're a writer, and indeed I think a reader. If we think of Wuthering Heights, and we think of the salt marshes in the Ruth books, for example, it's the bleak and the desolate, and Thomas Hardy,
and there's something about those seaside places. I was thinking of that because, of course, William's a wonderful series, starting with The Birdwatcher, Salt Lane, Gravesend, the most recent one set in Dungeness, and a lot of people would describe that as bleak, wouldn't they, William?
They would, but I've been given strict orders by the people who live in Dungeness not to use that word.
Okay.
You'll come across it.
It is beautiful. It is beautiful.
Yeah, it is beautiful.
We should reclaim it because, bleak is good.
This is good, but it's also, they're all very rich, these places, which is why you're there, isn't it? I mean, they're all rich.
Where people come and go, aren't they? I mean, New Haven's a port, and it's it was quite an important port, wasn't it? And Dungeness, people are coming and going, and King's Lynn, where my books are set, used to be a very, very important port. And there's something about those sort of places, isn't there? Those liminal zones where people come and go that are really fascinating.
Yeah, and there's also something remarkable at New Haven in that it's facing the French coast. And it's got a fort in it. It's that sense of slightly embittered town, slightly keeping people out. But the fort is a really important part of your book, isn't it? New Haven Fort, which is a remarkable place as well.
Yes, I mean, a lot takes place around the fort, and there's a nature reserve up there on the cliff. And also there's a Coast Guard watch, Coast Watch, I should say, Coast Watch, not the same thing as the Coast Guard, Coast Watch stations. And here a little thing about the Coast Watch stations. We had hundreds of them at one point, and in the 80s, Margaret Thatcher, in her wisdom, saw fit to close them all to save money. And almost immediately, a ship was wrecked, and it would have been seen if there'd been a Coast Watch station at that point, and lives were lost. So people were starting to be built again, but we still only have about 65 in the country, and we have one in New Haven, and it's open to the public. You can go anytime and visit, except at night, because they're not open at night. And the guys that were up there when I went showed me around, showed me how things worked. And of course, it was just perfect for me. I mean, they showed me what the instruments were and how it worked. And a ship that I thought was a mile or so out turned out to be 11 miles out. And all of that really helped me with the perspective of sea and how it works and the beach and what you can see. So, there's a lot there.
Did you go out on a boat, Lesley? Because there's that amazing last scene on a...
I didn't go out on a boat. That's the one thing I would never have dreamt of doing, because I knew, I mean, in the old days when one ever did wash one's hair over a sink, I couldn't do it because I couldn't bend my head forward. I mean, immediately start to feel seasick. And the thought of, even a gentle swell, no. So absolutely not. That's the one thing. I watch a lot of documentaries on beam trawlers because I feature a beam trawler in the novel. And to tell you what, that was enough to make me, I felt ill watching those, and actually watching a lot of people being sick on them too, because poor sailors, when they first start, they're not necessarily got the sea legs. So, and just, hats off, to those guys.
For one of my books, A Dying Fool, was set in Blackpool, which is another fascinating seaside place. I was researching the Pleasure Beach, and I actually went on that Big Dipper. And it was the worst bit of research I ever had to do. It was absolutely terrifying. And I can tell you now, Lesley, this will mean something to you, that journey, that Big Dipper ride, it takes 10 Hail Marys. I did not stop praying for 1 second. It was terrifying. And at the end, I got one of those, little fridge magnets that you can get with your faces on it. So there's me and Andy on it, and we're both doing this. And the people behind us, they're like this. I mean, what's wrong with people? It was terrifying.
No, Battersea Fun Fair when I was 12 with Amanda Dennison, forget it, that was it. That was, we did do something that was ghastly, so never again. So no, I didn't actually go on a boat, but I want now to call a little intermission, which everybody will understand. Well, some people will understand.
Yay!
And to say a very big congratulations to you, Elly Griffiths, for winning the Edgar last week. I think, just fantastic, and just excited to have you on this show.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It was massively exciting to win the Edgar. Never thought I would. The Mystery Writers of America Prize for Best Novel. For The Stranger Diaries, I could not believe it. I was just sitting here in my little office. I'd forgotten that it would be actually in the afternoon. I thought it would be at night, the ceremony. And then it suddenly popped up on my screen from my American editor, Naomi, that I'd won. So it was amazing. And you two were, I think, the first two to just text and say, well done. So it was fantastic. Thank you.
Very proud of you.
I'm really proud. It's brilliant news as well. I think a British writer getting that prize, and I think it's great just getting that kind of recognition I feel like, it's people we know. It's good. It feels like it's in our aura.
Well, it's one for the team, isn't it? We call ourselves the Crime. We used to be the Crime Quartet with Sue Wilkins. Hi, Sue. And
hi, Sue.
Really. So, yeah, it's definitely one for the team. But, yeah, it felt fantastic. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Can anybody hear my cat? There's a cat just down there, real noise.
Well, I thought it was my cat. Oh.
No, it's feeding time, and somebody hasn't fed the cat, but I'm not going to, because that would mean leaving this. So we might have more of the cat today.
Oh, lovely. Well, we should see the cat. Any cats present, we should see. I just hoped it wasn't somebody in distress that we should be looking after.
And where's your dog, Lesley? Has he been?
My dog is out of the way because he barks at Melanie's looking after him in a different room, shut down because he barks at delivery people, and then he doesn't stop. So we thought, I didn't want to be upstaged. I'm a Leo. I didn't want to be upstaged.
Me too.
Yeah.
I want to go and try and find the questions that other people have asked earlier on here, and I can't find them, unfortunately. I hate the new Facebook thing where all the comments become nested.
I just want to say hello to Anwar, who's here. And his little insignia says, "Quiet, please, writer at work." And every time it comes up, I thought it was some message that we all, an alert message that we should be aware of. And I've just realised it's just what he says. Because I thought, oh, okay, you'll be quiet.
He's an absolutely fab writer.
He is.
Really brilliant. And we've seen some other friends coming up. We've seen Lynn from California. We've seen Sven from Germany. We've seen Anne Elizabeth Bowen from Norfolk. Tim Eric has just come up. So Andy Hill, I think, earlier on. So
yes, Andy's here.
And Judy's reading the book already. There you go. We like that.
Oh, we do.
Also,
we do.
Laura Palmer, Leslie's wonderful editor.
Sarah Hillary, thank you. Thank you very much.
Oh, that's very good. There was a question from the earlier thread, because I managed to mess things. It's been a technologically trying week for me, one way or the other. But there was a question, and it asked about the LGBT themes in the book, about what made you decide to bring them in, and how carefully, how hard is it to handle those themes? How do you deliver them? Because it's a really strong. I don't want to give anything away in this, but it's a really strong little theme in the book there.
I think it wasn't really hard at all, I'll be honest. I think for me, I am gay myself, married to the wonderful Melanie. And in a way, I was just writing about the sort of lives that I have known. I haven't experienced the exact experience that I put some of the characters through in the book, but I've experienced and still experience a low-key kind of prejudice, even if it's just a silence or me silencing myself. And so in a sense, I didn't have to handle the issue carefully, such as it's an issue. I was writing about life and life of lots of people I know. And I enjoy doing that. But to be honest, I love the characters I was writing about, the characters that are gay and the characters that are not. But sexuality, religion, all that stuff comes into the story. And the biggest challenge for me really was writing a new book and coming into, starting with new characters, new location, and thinking, oh my God, am I going to make a mess of this? But I hope that I haven't.
There's a question on the screen, actually. Can you see the questions, Lesley?
Well, I have some on a different screen, honestly. And look, I feel, but
I'm read them out to you then, Lesley. How did your writing? You writing with Catholicism as a theme?
Yes, and that's from lovely Fiona. Hello, Fiona.
Right. Yeah. Yes, that's I'm right. I can see that now. And I just before I say that, I want to say I see that Philippa Brewster is on and says congratulations. And Philippa's fantastic editor, has had a huge amount to do with my work in the past. So she's a legend in our lifetimes. And anyway, Catholicism. How did you find? Well, I have to thank, and I'm just going to work it out. But yeah, the colleague on my left, you're right, possibly, Domenica, who, what would you call yourself, Ellie?
In what way?
Well, in terms of Catholicism.
Catholic-wise, well, it is quite a long answer, but I was brought up a Catholic, and I would probably call myself a freelance Catholic now, Lesley, working from home, because without going too deeply into it, I kind of disagree with the Catholic Church's stance on lots of things like, equal marriage, contraception, abortion, but I still do get a lot of comfort from my faith and praying and going to Mass. So I guess freelance Catholic probably covers it. The lovely late Charles Kennedy described himself as a liberal Catholic. Maybe that's what I am.
Well, you were a generous Catholic to me, and really helped. Elly Griffiths really helped me, invited me to Mass at her local church, talked to me, gave me seminars on Catholicism, was patient with my getting things wrong, thinking, for example, readings were plays. That was in the final, one of the drafts.
Exciting.
And I have to say, very generously, and it's a very treasured and played a huge part in me writing the story. I tend to enter, I do enter the stories that I write. And I don't know how many people can see this. I'm sort of holding it in front of the camera. But Elly Griffiths, when in the Sacre-Cœur, was it, in Paris, brought me back a set of rosary beads and had them blessed by him. And taught me how to do a decade of Hail Marys on them. There's a film of us doing this, actually, but it's private. It's just on my phone. But I must have watched that quite a few times. And just really kind of, I entered the world. And actually, I found it I'm talking about comforting. I actually found going to those masses, going to Mass with Elly comforting. And I am not converted, but I was attracted, and it helped me very much to write the book. So that's a long answer.
I think you've got it exactly right in the book, Lesley, because I think through your characters, you've embraced, the people who are cradle Catholics, like I am, born a Catholic, but the family who convert, and so it's maybe hasn't quite taken so strongly, and the people who are absolute revolt from it, which I sympathise with as well. So I think you've got all those aspects. It's a great achievement for someone who's not a cradle Catholic.
Well, I mean, I'm not even a cradle anything, to be honest. I was my father was a Presbyterian lay minister, but then he became a communist, and he didn't believe in God. And aged about 7 at school, we were doing something to do with religion, Protestant in school, such as it was. It wasn't Church of England as such. And I just announced to the table that I sat on, I was probably younger than 7, actually. So we're sitting in a little group. I said, God doesn't exist, And immediately this girl put her hand up, Miss, and she came over and said, Miss, Lesley says God doesn't exist. And I was asked why. And I didn't come up with, I'm afraid to say, I can't say I came up with any kind of great, agnostic or any answer that was any thought out. I just said, Mummy and Daddy told me. So and at school, we didn't have, secondary school, we had, not civilian, what do I mean? But anyways, we had services which weren't religious. I can't think of the word.
Ecumenical, what do it mean?
Equal pay for women and Nelson Mandela and stuff like that, which was really lovely and great. But I do lack a religious education, and I do think that actually, there's so many references to it in literature and amongst people I know. I mean, that and Harry Potter, really, I kind of feel I'm a bit, behind on things.
Well, the language is lovely, isn't it? And you've got Catholics in your family, William, haven't you?
I have. I'm married. I'm from an Irish Protestant family. Thanks, Julia. Secular is the word we were looking for.
Yeah. Secular.
And we couldn't think of the right word. That's just.
Thank you, Julia.
Lots of them coming in right now.
And John as well.
This is what we like.
I'm chopping up names as well. We were going to have a little dip our name in the hat. So I'm chopping up the names.
Have we actually announced the competition on air as well as beforehand?
Go on then.
Anybody who's been asking a question while we've been on air, and this is going to be very hard for William actually, because there's a hell of a lot of stuff coming through here. But we're giving out prizes, which I accidentally let slip early on in the proceedings, but I hope I'd mostly deleted. But please don't feel that you have to tell me what it was I said early on. But we're giving out prizes to anybody who asks a question that we read out. I shouldn't be giving the rules for this competition because I've made a mess of it all the way through.
I think it's lovely. I think it's great. This is exactly the way it should be. Of course, it's going to make it. You could just carry on talking for a while. I've got a lot of names.
Well, when we come to do this, we're going to put the answers in a straw hat, which we have here.
Pass it to me, Lesley.
Yeah, and we have the same straw hat, as you can see. Am I the only one that looks stupid?
I put it on, but yeah.
And we're going to pass this straw hat around, and then we're going to take it out. Take out the name.
I can tell you, Lesley, that I've got your little keepsake thing that you gave me on my desk. It's a little blue cat.
Well, that takes us neatly into the subject of icons, author icons. things that you feel lucky. That's Lucky Cat, isn't it? I've seen Lucky. Well, I gave you Lucky Cat, but you called it Lucky Cat, and
It's very lucky, I hope. And Lesley, in Now You See Them, which is the most recent Brighton mystery, you did notice that Max acquires a lucky blue cat.
Well, I was wondering what I could say that is my lucky thing, and I don't really have, but I was sent this the other day by somebody or other, and I keep this as a little talisman. Hold on. It's Across the Marshes.
Ooh.
By somebody whose name is Jacobs, which I think is quite good for a sheep place.
Yes.
And it was well, I keep it right in front of me to inspire me about Romney Marsh that I write about. It was sent to me by the very lovely Much Ado Books, actually.
Lovely.
Much Ado Books. Hi there.
One of our local independent bookshops. I've got this as well. A lovely reader made me this when The Lantern Men came out.
That's fantastic.
Glass lantern.
That's
brilliant.
Isn't that pretty? We do appreciate these things.
Well, for each book I have something that inspires me while I'm writing it. And for me, this time,
was it
I don't know if anybody recognises who this is. Feel
Flounder?
free to say.
Is it?
Are we going to? We're all flying in here with, we know we've got a wise audience out there. So,
is it Flounder?
It's Flounder. And the significance for me were two things. Flounder is significant to the mermaids in the story. It's for those of you, there may be some people who will say, well, and does anybody know where Flounder comes from? Am I going to get anybody? Anyway, I shall say before they get a chance, it's a character that features in The Little Mermaid, Disney's Little Mermaid. No, maybe not. Can't have that. It features in the story. But the thing about this is actually this very thing is an aquarium, piece of aquarium furniture, if you like, and aquariums feature in the story too.
The aquarium is amazing. Very sinister.
I got to put the Mike Craven, another great writer there. William's glasses are so cool.
Oh, they are, aren't they? Yeah.
Cool.
Thanks, Mike.
Mike knows something cool when he sees it.
Yeah, he does. Absolutely.
KCL says novel way for book launch. What's this? I can't even read that. Novel way for book launch, laughing. That is a novel way for book launch. But you know what? I suspect we're all going to be doing rather more of this in the future.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Yes. Yeah, I think we are. And my cousin Tasmin is here, and I do have to say a big shout out for my wonderful cousin Tasmin.
Yes.
Big support from my family. So, thank you, Taz.
And Uncle Peter.
Yeah, Uncle Peter. I don't know if Uncle Peter's watching or not, but Uncle Peter and Auntie Lynn are also brilliant. So there we are. Yes, Uncle Peter's sort of brilliant, but at one of our launches, he bought one of Elly Griffiths' books, but he didn't buy one of mine. Funny how you don't forget things.
And that's why I remember him so fondly.
I didn't bought any of mine either, Lesley.
But what I do have to say about my Uncle Peter is that he was on a train coming to a launch, not that one, another one. And he saw that somebody sitting opposite him on the train was reading one of my books. And he leaned forward and said very loudly, "That's my niece." So the whole train discovered. And he said, "I'm going to her launch now." So it was a good whatever you call it. Secular.
Granny has just popped up to say she likes your glasses.
Who did?
I'm very, very proud of them. They're only ready readers. This isn't about my glasses. This is about Lesley Thomson's Death of a Mermaid. And what I want to say is, you're all out there watching, and you all now. I think that me and Dom really need to urge you to go out and get this book. When we're having a bit of a laugh here, but actually, we want this book to do really well because we really believe in it. We think it's a great book. We think you'll enjoy it. So take the time. Anytime you want to, navigate to your right, find your local bookshop, your favourite bookshop, any bookshop you like, and order a copy. It's already doing very well, I think, in the chart, and we want to make sure it gets the reason it deserves.
It really should do brilliantly because it is an absolute classic crime novel, but a really unusual crime novel as well. You won't have read anything like this, I have to say. So read it, buy it.
It's in order, as Barry says. I thought it's in order. It's an order, in fact.
Well, it's no swearing. That's any help. So it's in order. Yeah. Oh well. Thank you. There's a lot of I'm sitting on a lot of laurels here.
Thank you, guys. Already read the prologue. I think that's good. You see, I love to do that. It's really nice that readers are part of this and they're actually buying the books. And yeah, I want to see more of that. I think it's time to do the draw because I don't want any more people to join in because it's going to be far too confusing. Can I pass the hat over to you there a second, Dom?
Sure. Oh, hat or cat? Cat in the hat.
Is the cat going to pick? You've got the hat now.
I've got the hat. Hold on.
You've got it.
Can you give it a shake? Can you give it a shake, Dom?
Do I have to pull out a name?
Can you give it a shake? I think if you pass it back to me, I'll
pass it back to William.
Okay, William, are you getting it?
Dom, can you pass it across?
Which way?
This way, Dom.
Davey. Good to see Davey there.
Have you got it, Dom?
Yeah.
Have you got it, Lesley?
Lesley's got it.
I've got it.
Oh, it's going the other way.
What's it doing now?
Oh, miraculously, it's coming in now. That's remarkable.
Oh my God, that was so hard. It's because we're at least 6 foot apart. That's the point.
Right.
No.
Giving a shout out to Davey there.
Shout out to the cat who won't move.
Whoa, Fiona Thompson.
Fiona Thompson.
Do we have Fiona Thompson now? It's not a relation though, is it? Because she's got a P.
No P. I've got a no P in my name. No relation. No, I've never set eyes on her. I
have. I've met her. We had a lovely cup of coffee together and a cake.
Yeah, I have. She's a great supporter. I think both of us actually on Twitter, but I don't call that the same. So we can't really say no friends or family for this anyway. But or people on Twitter, but.
No, she's an academic. She's a great supporter of crime fiction.
And she's been great already with me today. So hi there, Fiona. And we did say hello to Gus in all of that. And Jill is saying hi, Jill, as well.
Hello.
And Jill is pointing out that Gus did make an appearance, and we didn't really acknowledge him.
Can I just say my guest today?
As anyone else's cat, he loves these. He loves the smell of them. Look, Gus, look.
Fiona, I'll tell you how. But most important, my guests have been so rogue today. It's been impossible to host the show. It's like sanity. But Lesley, what's Fiona won?
Oh, well, what? No, we did. Seriously, we did actually decide upon this. What Fiona wins, and here we could try doing the passing thing again with Dom, but I could go like that so you know what it is. Hint. Okay. And where does it go? Which way? Hooray! What Fiona wins, and there's more to it than this, and this is where I thought I was so prepared. I'm prepared, and the two things I forgot were the book and the pen. Fiona, what you win is a signed this very signed copy, proof copy of Death of a Mermaid. So while you're on air, would you tell me who you would like me to sign it to, or shall I just sign it and then we can do that bit afterwards? You can message me. Oh, I've given choices. That's not good, is it? I tell you what, I'm going to sign it, and if there's anything to add, I'll add it. So, Fiona.
Sign it to Fiona, yes, definitely.
Fiona, we'll be in touch about getting your address and everything like that. Listen, we've been going for 44 minutes, and I don't want to to take too much out of these lovely people's day, but it's fantastic.
Let me sign this. Hang on.
Oh yeah, you've got to sign that.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to do the first bit and then I won't do all of it, but I'm signing it as we speak.
Woo!
You don't get this in your Waterstones launches, do you?
That's that bit, and I'll do the rest later, just to prove it's happened.
Leslie has brilliant writer's handwriting. Very.
And luckily Fiona said, please sign it to me, which she just had.
No, okay, well, that's easy then.
Well, tomorrow I'm going to be here with Kaz Freer and Caro Ramsey.
Brilliant.
And as both my lovely guests say, on the 14th, I'm going to be back with them to launch my own book. And actually, what I want to say now is 14th is actually the last day I'm going to do this on a daily basis, because I'm going to explode otherwise.
You have to write a book, William.
I have to write a book. I will be doing some more, but I won't be able to keep up this giddy pace because it's too much fun, but it leaves me very little time for the rest of life. So I'm going to bid our lovely guest, Elly Domenica, goodbye, and also thank
William.
Who's just appeared. And Uncle William, they're here.
And they're called Nelson, which is a brilliant name.
Yeah.
Can we make a trail for next Thursday?
Yeah.
I think so.
Please tune in again, if not certainly before, but please do tune in again next Thursday. I don't know if it's the grand finale. I'm not sure. I'm not, but certainly what it is the launch of William's book, which I at this moment have gone completely blank upon. Gravesend, which I have read, absolutely love. It's a brilliant book, and I'm going to repeat all the things William's been saying to me about my book today, next week, because it's a fabulous book, and it'll be out next Thursday. So please come along to see all of us talk about that. It'll be a totally different scenario, and we'd love to see you.
See you next week.
Brilliant. All right. Goodbye, everybody. Thanks so much for coming along.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Well done, Leslie.
Thanks.